Good evening, everybody. It's great to be here once again. I know it's a day after live stream, but that's okay. I'm going to do this video. This is kind of a trailer, so to speak, a teaser or a trailer to the movie that's coming, the big epic movie. But I want to give you an example, and I'm going to just take this down for 1 second. This is kind of a trailer to what I'm going to be doing. I talked about this. Last week, I think I talked about this, and I talked about it last night on the live stream. Well, what I'm going to be doing is, I guess, combating the whole idea when people say, well, you're not reading the 1611. It's completely different, and all these words have changed. Well, we're going to talk about that. Now, what I've done is broken down the 1611 to today, 2025, King James Bible, and looked at all the words and gone through the spellings and so forth. What I didn't really go after was the semicolons or a colon or a comma, parentheses and stuff like that. That's something we can get into a more grammatical issue there. I have my arguments with that for the fact that at one point you didn't have some of these things. We kind of added them as the grammar evolved over a certain amount of time, and we put them in there. Time to time, you'll see me looking to this side because I got to look at the words over here for the fact that I can't really see them on the screen here as well as you will at home. So that's why you'll see me keep looking over there with these wonderful new glasses that work and don't work all at the same time. But I'm going to give you an example because we're going to be in Matthew 1 today. And this is for people who have a King James kind of defend themselves saying, yeah, I pretty much do have the exact same thing as 1611. I think the trick here is to move not only people into the New King James and the ESV, and all these scholars will tell you all these words, but kind of like COVID when I don't think you're allowed to say COVID. Back when they did the whole virus thing, there were numbers given and there were different sets of numbers. So it's all about the way they give numbers. These guys like Mark Ward and James White and all them and Dan Wallace or Dave Wallace, I don't know what his name is. They give you certain numbers to make things appear a certain way. So I'm going to go through some of this now. So we're just going to go through it here. So as you can see, in Matthew chapter 1, you have 25 verses and 473 words and 110 spellings. 110 spelling changes or difference and 7 capitals. I went ahead and went with the capitals where they changed. So we're going to go through here with 1611. It says book with an E and then book with no E. Okay. Jesus, as you can see, it's an I-Jesus, it's an I in place of a J. Now, if you understand, J kind of was created, the letter J in Italy in the late 1500s. You can correct me if I'm wrong, and was used primarily in that area, and it didn't get widespread use late 1500s, early 1600s, but didn't really get used in everything and why all the way across everywhere until about 1630 is when it was really, really into the English language at that point. So that would explain why you have the J issue. It's not hard to figure that out and look that up. So it's not really a misspelling as much as the fact there's no J. You want to look at son. You got 2 N's, right? S-O-N-N-E, and then son. You could tell the difference between these two. David, David. Begat, begat. I'm going to go line by line here to point this out. Jacob to Jacob. Judas, Judas. Boos and booze, which is actually Boaz. But again, if you read it in context, which I'm going to talk about in a second with my 10-year-old, Boaz, but you've heard it read that way, so you know what the word says. Jesse, bin. And. Now, this is an and symbol. Now, my 10-year-old looked at this word or the symbol, and I said, can you read this? And he said, and. It means and. Good job, 10-year-old. And that's the problem is a lot of scholars want to make you think that you're too stupid to figure this out and to understand the differences from your KJV or KJB to now. So I've been planning this for months. I've been working on this for a long, long time. I should say I've been wanting to do this for years, but never got around to it. And now we've been working on it for months. My 13-year-old has been helping me out with this. We've been really working together and checking this out, which is a great thing to be doing because I got my son with me and he's helping me. 10-year-old that likes, like I said before, likes to do the gospel tracks, but I use my 10-year-old because he's the youngest kid I have, and to see what he would read and how he would read it, a 10-year-old, and see how he came up. We're gonna go through that in a moment. All right, so we've been in Josaphat, Joram, but we know over here, Jotham. Again, they read back then the I's as a J because that was a J. They knew that was a J. They pronounced it the way it was supposed to be pronounced, so no big deal there. You don't need a new King James version because you already changed it in the King James. You fixed the J once the actual letter was introduced. ACAS, the ACAS, which is interesting here is my 10-year-old again. He pronounced this as ACAS. And he looked at the Z over there and he said ACAS again. So, which is interesting, like almost an S and a Z sound. Josiah, let's see, Jaconius, born, until, carrying, 14. You can see that. Now, I'll tell you the progression of my son on this one. I wrote this down in chapter 1, verse 24, where it was. He looked at it into, and then he went into, and then he was reading the verse. So he read the verse and goes, Dad, the only thing that fits would be unto. I thought it was into, but I think it's unto the way it's written. How about that? The 10-year-old figured that out. I guess guys like Mark Ward can't figure that out. Let's see, Joseph. We know that she has an extra E. That happens a lot. Child, extra E. Of course, my son had no problem here. And this says lust. I don't know why the I did again. For some reason, when I put these in, the I doesn't come up. It makes me keep going back to fix it to the lowercase I. But it was a lowercase I-U-S-T, so it'd be ust. But you look in the context and you knew it was just and spelt that way. My son read this one, 1611. He pronounces publique, and I went over here. What does this say? Public. Now, of course, we can knock up the K in today's language. It's public with a C. But he figured it out. Not a big deal. Privily, he, extra E. Dream, again, an extra E. Fear, an extra E. Son got that one. So this one, he has a U, right? So he read it as consued. And then he looked over, he said, oh, conceived. Okay, not a big deal, but these are easy things to fix because, again, the U and the V was the same thing back then. So I'll fix it today. And again, I think that was the other one he might have read. I didn't write it down. Then he figured it out. It was easy to figure him out in the context of the sentence. Save, he got that right. Even though it was a U, it was, I forget what it was now. I didn't write that down either. That's all right. But he said the same thing. It goes, the only thing that makes sense that they're saved. And he's correct. Sins, you got that right. Virgin, he got right because he says, well, that's obvious. Like, okay. Fourth, he didn't explain to me why it was obvious. He just said it was obvious. All right. Us and us, that should be a V. I don't know why it's not a V when you go down the list. Oh, I forgot to switch scenes. I left it here. There we go. Over here. There we go. We're down. Where are we now? We're down to fourth. So go down to fourth. Fourth is fourth. You got that right. That us right there should be a V. So again, he figured that out. Oh, the reason he figured that out was in verse. I didn't write down, but he read the verse as knew us, and because he knew that the verse, he's heard us. Well, he's homeschooled, but he knows God with us, so he knew it was an us just by that. So again, these James White types, the Mark Wards and stuff like that, the guys tell you not to give your King James to your kid because they won't understand it. Okay. Let's see. We go down to new. He got that right. Firstborn. He got that correct without a problem. In fact, he had gotten, and now this is a rough number, but I think it was like 23 of the ones I read off to him, not including the names, except for Jesus and Judas and Joseph. He got those right without even, he just recognized them. Oh, and Jacob, I think it was. But he had like 23 or 24 of them proper out of the 41 words. So that's not bad. And the ones, again, I didn't even ask him. The begat, that was a 10-year-old now. Begat, he had said begatty. And then he saw that, he said begat. So there were little things like that. Trying to think of some other ones he got. Like I said, that one's a little off. Public. He had a hard time, but he figured it out eventually. And then you see the capitals down here. You see King. That was just changes from the 1611. These were King, Angel, Holy, Prophet, Name. They're all capitalized. And then when they changed over, they just lowercase. Actually, lowercase King, lowercase Angel. Then they capitalize Holy. This says capitalized down here, small. And then you get Name. Name was capitalized in 1611, which is strange to me, but then it was Name. Now, you'll see down at the bottom here, it says Scholars. So this is how they would present it to you. Well, there's 110 misspelled words out of 473 words. You realize that's 25% of one chapter has been changed. If that's what you do, if you put it that way, you're thinking, wow, a quarter? A quarter? That's kind of a high number. But in reality, those 110 words weren't 110 words. They're actually 41 misspelled words. 41 misspelled words that happened multiple times. That's why if you look in the parentheses that I had on this page here, and if you go back the next, we'll put the next slide up, where you go back and you'll see what begat was 29 times in that. So it's one word. But again, they like to put it in a way that makes it seem worse than it actually is. They try to mislead you. So in reality, it's actually 41 misspelled words out of 473 words. That would actually bring to 8.6%. That's a far cry from 25%. But now, if you look at the J's, that you know the J's weren't fully in existence in 1611 to use, they weren't widespread across the countryside, I guess you could say. I'd say world, but America wasn't 100% formed in 1611. You know what I mean? We weren't like a big country at that point. Landmass, yeah. But 27 J's. So if you take out the 27 J's that were added on afterwards, because it was revised, because the letter now exists, it has an existence, a widespread, because it was in Italy, like I said, and didn't get all the way across up to all of England widespread till the 1630s. That was when it was, and a few places before that, but it was widely accepted at that point. So that actually brings you down to 2.9%. So the scholars will tell you 25% of one chapter, the words are all misspelled. And we're not even talking about the 7 capitals. So if you add in the capitals that are incorrect, and then you got a higher number for them, but which is in reality not a thing. So think about that for a second. Scholars will tell you you're too stupid to understand that and figure this out. You're too stupid to read these words. Now, some of them might be a little different, like, okay. But once you know something, it's easy to figure out. It takes 10 seconds to figure out the whole J deal. Okay, maybe not 10 exact seconds. Yeah, you're not going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. But 10 seconds, you figured this out. I'm still going to say 10 seconds anyways. You can pronounce a lot of these words. Like I said, if my son, my 10-year-old son, I didn't even bring the 13-year-old to read them because I know he's going to get pretty much every one of them. He actually knows the J issue. He understands that whole idea. He understands the whole background of that, so it's not hard. It's not hard to teach people. And when I say even a 10-year-old can get it, I don't mean that as an insult to my 10-year-old, and I don't mean that to an insult to a 50-year-old. It's just that it can be figured out. It's laziness, really. And what they want to be is more lazy and depend on them, the scholars. The scholars want you to believe something that's non-existent. I'm not talking about the commas and stuff like that. I'm just talking about very simple things that they'll go after. And they love to tell you that. Well, it's not that you're not reading the same, but you kind of are. If you really break it down. I'm not talking about Geneva and Matthews, which I will be doing that actually down the road as well. And then we're going to talk about the changes when you get to, we're going to do a real good breakdown of the revised version, which was a complete disaster, which was a complete destruction of the King James and the Textus Receptus that they really didn't use, and they just destroyed that. But anyways, that's a whole other ball game. There's some other guys who are really good at breaking that down. But again, I want to kind of finish up here. I see 15 minutes. I want to keep these short. By the way, this is just one chapter. I'll be doing these videos every Sunday and Wednesday, definitely every Sunday. I want to get. I don't know if I'll do one chapter or 3 chapters, depending on time. I want to keep this under a half an hour when I do them. So however comes out, that's where we'll end, and then we'll go to the next one. We're going to be going through them all. Pretty much they're all being. I'm all putting them all together now into this form you see. Believe it or not, putting it all on this. I'm an old man, so this took me a couple hours just to put all these words on here. I was going to do the whiteboard, but I don't have a camera set up. I'm not a rich guy. You know, I can't afford cameras. I got other bills as well. But now, go back to the finishing. Scholars will tell you 25% is missing, but in reality, 2.9% has been changed. 25%, 2.9 cents. Don't fall for the lies and the deception. You can read the King James Bible. You can probably pick up the 1611 and get away with it just fine. Just fine. All right. With that, I appreciate your time. I really do. I'm thankful, as I always am, that you watch these. I want these to be helpful to people. I hope it's edifying, makes you realize that you're not stupid and you are reading 1611. A lot of people don't realize that. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Am I really reading the 1611? Is it really the same? Because they change it from 1611 and the revision in 1633, and they talk to me about this 1769 stuff, and I don't know. Man, they make you doubt. Don't doubt. And don't go on blindly going to feel comfortable. I mean, people go, I know I have the word of God. Did you know da-da-da? Well, no, I didn't know that. And it's okay that you didn't, but they'll try to trip you up. So hopefully these help. I hope they help folks down the road in realizing that they do have the perfect word of God. They don't have to. They don't even have to read the Textus Receptus. I do have the Textus Receptus. I'm not opposed to the Textus Receptus or reading it and stuff like that. I'm just saying, relax. As I've always said, you don't need to know Greek and Hebrew. But then that's me being some weird hardcore Ruckmanite KJV only. I think it's okay if you want to learn it too. I think it's great. You know, I don't mind learning Greek, but it doesn't mean I need to know it. See, it's a difference. All right. Well, thank you again. I appreciate your time as always. And again, I hope this has helped some way. If I've missed something, if there's a word I missed there or a capitalization I missed there, please put in the comments. I might have missed it. Again, look at how much misprinted things that they were in the Bible back then. So we're only human. All right. With that, God bless and have a beautiful, beautiful evening.